So here's the thing. One thing that I know to be true is that it is really dangerous to be out here relying on one stream of income. And for you, you already have a coaching business inside of you. It's just about really drawing it out. And so, in today's video, we are going to talk all about how you can do that. It's a very simple process. We're not using the word quick, we're not using the word easy, but this is a very simple process. Because if you think about it, every business is really the foundation of every business is doing the same thing over and over again. It's just not over and over again, but doing the same thing. It's just how it is packaged. Hi, my name is Ola. I ran a profitable online coaching business until I received a promotion at my 9 to 5, and I decided to close down said coaching business to pursue the latter. We'll call that temporary insanity. That's okay because I'm back, still working the 9 to 5, but also building out my coaching business again, and this time, what I think would be permanently. So, I wanted to come on here to help you see yourself in not that same position, but to see yourself as an online coach in whatever industry or whatever expertise that you have. You are able to get paid for what you know. You are able to package your expertise, even your experience, as long as it is a problem that you have solved and you can walk somebody through the same process of solving, you'll be able to be a coach. There are some tweaks that you have to make, there's different perspectives that you have to take, but once you do that, you'll see just how simple it is. But at the end of the day, there are key questions that you have to answer in order to get your coaching business moving. So let's get into the first question. First question is, what is the painful problem that you have already solved? That is what you're going to ask yourself. For me, I had an online productivity coaching business, and for that, I was able to help scatterbrain people, typically women, but scatterbrain people solve their problems with time management, energy management, and attention management, because that is what productivity really is all about. Are you able to manage your time, your energy, and your attention? Are you able to structure it? All of those things. And so that was something that I was already doing, one, by nature. I'm very goal oriented or objective oriented. I'm also one who, I need to plan, but then I also need to execute the plan. And it's very difficult for me to execute without a plan because my question is how, who, and why. Those are three questions I'm asking. So I took that expertise, I took that experience, and I packaged it into a coaching program that was able to help other people be able to answer those questions and get closer to their goals or accomplish their goals. Hello, good people. One particular note that I forgot to add into this video was the fact that in my 9 to 5, I serve as a project manager, and process improvement specialist. I also have a history of project management. I have a history of account management and things of that nature, operations leadership, things like that. So I really use both my personal experience and my professional expertise in order to build out my own coaching program. So that's the first question that you're going to ask yourself. The second question that you'll ask yourself is, what is the quantifiable cost of not solving the problem? What does it mean if if my coaching client cannot solve her problem of managing her time, manage her attention, and managing her energy space? But for me, when I answer that question, it's simply she's going to miss meaningful moments with her family. She is going to miss out on creating a life that she actually wants to live versus a life that she's just living in survival mode. So she's not able to experience the finer things or the greater things in life, or even the simple things, the simple pleasures in life. Also, she's going to miss out on money because she can't get right with attention, time, and energy. If all of that, if you're all over the place, if there's no structure there, it bleeds into everything else, including your finances. So by getting those things in order, you're able to get your finances in order and you're able to order things where they need to go. Another quantifiable cost would be if there is a business that she is wanting to build, it is not going to get off the ground. And the reason it's not going to get off the ground is because you have no structure. And so if you have no structure, You can't build that plane in the air. Point blank, period. There's no way you're going to be able to build a sustainable plane in the air if you don't have a structure in how you're doing it. If you don't have a structured plan in how you're doing it. That is what, oh, excuse me, that is what I believe. It's very difficult to convince me otherwise. So that's going to be the next question you answer. What is the quantifiable cost? So, how much is this going to cost by her not getting a solution to that problem? By him not getting the solution to that problem? That is what you want to ask yourself. So, once you answer those two questions, you already have the ball rolling. You're already starting to build out that momentum. When you start building out the momentum, clarity comes into focus. Clarity is not going to come into focus until you start moving. Just know that. That's also something else that, that would be a cost. She won't get clarity because she's not making any moves, because she's stuck in survival mode. She's stuck in the freeze mode. Also, who as who has this problem? Now for that, I mean, technically speaking, for my coaching business, everybody could fill that category. But there was one specific person that I targeted when I was building out my productivity coaching business. And that is because that person was someone I could directly identify with, because that person used to be me. So that's what you'll find. Typically, your ideal client or your target market, your ideal client avatar, whatever you want to call it, that person is going to be probably you before you solve the problem, or very similar to you before you solve the problem. So that's what I looked at. I looked inwardly. Okay, so when I had this problem, when I couldn't get my brain or my mind wrapped around the fact that, hey, one, you can make money outside of your 9 to 5. You don't have to be stuck to it. No matter how much they said, go to school, get a good job, and you be set for life. That was not true. It's not true now. Just know that. Don't buy that dream. But I'm thinking of, okay, where was I when I had that problem? Well, I was scatterbrained because I was thinking of all the things. I was overthinking. I was underthinking some things. I mean, it was wild. It was very difficult for me to focus on things because I was always into something. I was always doing something, and I never stuck with anything long enough to see it all the way through. But once I was able to break that pattern, I knew, listen, I can help my client break that same pattern. Because typically you don't really have a productivity problem. What you really have is you have a pattern that you have not broken. And that pattern is a pattern of procrastination, limited thinking, looking at things from a negative perspective, being stuck in survival mode and not healing, playing the victim, people pleasing. I mean, the list goes on. So knowing all of those things and knowing all those pain points allowed me to dig deeper into what my ideal client's psyche would be like. What are the things that she's thinking? What are the things that she's writing about? What are the things that she's waking up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. and she's just kind of staring at the ceiling and trying to figure out, am I going to get out the bed, or I'm going to try to go back to sleep, or am I going to roll over, grab my phone, and start scrolling? Once you know your person, you know the habits that they have. And typically, you know those habits because you used to have the same habits. Or you may even sometimes find yourself slipping back into those habits. But the thing is, you know how to get out of it. So you still know how to solve the problem. Even if you continuously, well, not continuously, don't coach nothing and you ain't fully, grasp the concept of the solution. Don't do that. Okay. The next question is, what is the emotional payoff or the pleasurable future that a person would have once they solve this problem? For a productivity coaching client, I had to switch. For a productivity coaching client, I would say that the emotional payoff is the feeling of freedom, a feeling of control, but also a feeling of faith. And faith, because you know that if this is working, it's not just because of the things I did or the things you did, but it's because of the faith you had in God, and knowing that God provided precedence and providence for you to do it. He ordered your steps, and this is the reason why you're experiencing the outcome that you're experiencing, because He's in charge of the outcome. You're just in charge of the steps that you can do. He's in charge of the steps you can do. And so that is the feeling, that is the emotional pull. That's become you're more, or she is more grounded in her faith, because it is a faith walk coming out of those bad habits, coming out of survival mode, coming out of, procrastination, coming out of the fear, because that's simply what it is. When you trade in fear, you disagree with fear, you renounce fear, and you come into agreement with being bold and being trusting, and also believing in God, being trusting in God, and be goodness gracious, trusting in God and believing in God and believing in what He said that He would do. But you don't know that and you don't do that unless you're in your word. That's all threaded into everything that I currently do, and that's also what was threaded in what I did when I was running my online productivity coaching business. So that is an example of what you would. That's the answer you're looking for. What are the feelings that will happen once they solve this painful problem? Because people don't do anything because you said that they need to, or because that person. I don't care who the person is. People only do things because they feel like doing them. And so until you can actually trigger what the feeling is, until you know what that feeling is, and until you created a connection with them so that you can connect to that feeling, they're not going to trust you. They're not going to purchase from you. They don't want you to coach them. Point blank, period. All right. And then the next question that you want to ask yourself is, what is the simple plan to resolve the problem? I say simple plan because that simple plan then becomes your framework. And it's your simple plan because you walked through those steps. You figured out where all I was about to say milestones. Yes, milestones. Okay. But you figure out where all the mines are in the minefield. And you either already pushed them, so it's already blowing up in your face, and you can tell them, listen, don't go that way, because this is what happens if you go that way. Or you can tell them, hey, this is the route I go. Now I'm coming back and I'm your guide. Now you're coming back, and so now you're saying I'm your guide. So that's what happens when you create that simple plan. You're just able to break it down into outline. You don't need to have anything else created. You just need to be very clear on what your outline is. What is your simple plan? What is your plan of action? What are the steps that you took to solve this problem, to go from A to Z? Now, if you haven't hit Z yet, don't go there. Like, I'm not teaching people how to build a 6-figure coaching business, because my coaching business is not 6 figures yet. But you notice my language, it's not there yet. So when it is there, then the people that I've already helped to start, they're going to also learn how to get it to 6 figures, so on and so forth. I can get you to 5 figures, can't get you to 6 figures yet, but just you wait. All right. So that is what I want you to start with. It's simple, those simple questions. Literally, all you have to do is get a piece of paper, or get your iPad out, or get your notepad, whatever it is. Get a piece of paper, write down those questions. I'll also put those questions down below in the description box, and just write out the answers. Once you know the answers, you know what you're working with, and you no longer have to really overthink or get stuck in thinking about what your next steps are. Because once you have these questions answered, the next step is really easy. And that's what we'll talk about in the next video. Talk to you soon.